Hey everyone, I'm back and today we're going to be talking about Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and this movie came out in 1963 and it's one of his most famous movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well made. I wouldn't say this is one of his best movies. In fact, out of all of the ones I've personally seen, I would say this is his worst movie, personally, but I still really liked it. And the things that I like about it are the performances. I think that's really what makes this movie work, and it really sells a lot that is happening throughout the movie. And I really loved the characters in this movie. They're all very likable characters, and you learn a decent amount about them. Not for every character, but the ones that it really focuses on. The movie gives them enough development to the point where you like them, and I didn't want them to die at any point. And while this movie does have a couple characters that are a little irritating, for in one scene it's like in a diner in the middle of the movie, and I thought that was the worst scene in the movie because it's just filled with characters that are like, oh, this is actually happening. No, I'm an expert on birds, and I know that they would never do this. And my problem with that scene is that everything just felt really stupid, and that was the only part of the movie that just felt really goofy. And what I love about Hitchcock movies is that things can get a little exaggerative, but for the most part, he likes to keep things grounded to the point where it doesn't feel stupid and unbelievable. Like he's trying to play on fear, like something like this could actually happen, and really get you in the mindset like, if I were in this type of situation, I guess I'd die. Or like, what would I do? I don't know what I would do. And that's what I love most about his movies, is that he really keeps me engaged in like what is happening with the characters, and putting you in the seat of these characters and trying to figure out what would you do. And that's what he does best for me. And the horror in his movies is usually really great. And in this movie, I would say that's the weakest part of this movie, because the effects are kind of dated now, unfortunately. And now you can see how it was done. But that's not to say I wasn't scared at all watching this movie. When it was like practical effects, that's when it worked really well, or it was just actual birds. That's when the movie really worked for me, because it's building up tension, and I love the pacing of the movie. It's very slow, but it feels earned, because you're not supposed to feel comfortable and relaxed. You're supposed to have like a thought in your head like, you're not safe at any point in this movie, because birds are attacking people and you don't know why. And I like that the movie keeps certain things a secret as to, without spoiling anything, as to what you don't know. Because that's what makes it scary, is that you don't know the answers to certain questions. And birds are attacking people and you don't know why, and it doesn't really matter because it's just, it's not important. And the movie kind of reminded me of a zombie apocalypse movie, and I think this was made before Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, it was made before Night of the Living Dead, and that's what started zombie movies, and I think that was the first zombie movie. And going back to what I was trying to say earlier, as the movie goes along, characters are treating this as if it's a zombie apocalypse, before zombie movies were like really popular. Like, especially in the third act, where we have our main group of characters in the main house of the movie, and they're like bordering everything up and keeping everything sealed, and like nailing furniture against the doors and using wood to cover up the windows and stuff like that. And that's what made me think of a zombie apocalypse movie. I kind of wanted to talk about like one of my criticisms that I already said is that the effects don't really hold up. Like when it's a shot of, there's a big wide shot of the main town in this movie, and then birds start coming into it, and it doesn't really hold up. But I can see an audience back in 1963 being really scared of that because of how less familiar people are with computer animation and how it works. Because apparently, back when this movie came out, it scared people to death. And my mom knows people who are still scared of birds because of this movie. And I can definitely see why. I really want to get into the beginning of the movie. And normally in a slasher movie, it would be just to show the killer and have the killer kill somebody and set the tone of the movie. This movie is not like that at all. The opening shot of this movie, it's... well, at first you have the opening credits, and it's just a bunch of birds flying around. And after the opening credits, it opens up with a shot of the main character, and it just shows her walking across the street, and and then she goes down the sidewalk, and this is all in one shot. And as she's going down the sidewalk, we come across like a sign or whatever that says San Francisco, and it establishes that we're in San Francisco. And then she goes into a bird shop, and she meets one of the other main characters of the movie in that bird shop. And I thought that was a nice way to get these characters to in one scene, and from there it just starts the movie, and she goes over to this place where the guy that she met is living, or at least for the weekend. And I thought that was really nice, and I like that a lot about the movie. And the first bird attack doesn't happen until a half hour into the movie. And that's a choice that I really liked about it, is that it starts small and then just gets crazier from there. And although I've criticized this movie for the effects being kind of dated, when it's practical or the violence is left up to your interpretation, that's when the movie is at its best for me, when it's trying to scare you. And there's one really great scene in this movie where the violence is left up to your interpretation, and you can just figure everything out. And I love the execution of that scene. And that's about all I have to say about The Birds. It's a great movie, and it's a classic, and I'm pretty sure you've all heard of it. And if you haven't seen it, I would recommend that you check it out, even though there are things that are dated now, and you can see how it was done and figure out how it was done. There's still a lot to like in the movie. I love the characters, and the performances are really good, and the presentation of the film and how things are executed, like as far as characters go, that's when the movie is at its best for me. And when violence is left up to interpretation, that's also something that I really loved, and there's a lot to love in the movie. I would highly recommend that you check this movie out, and I'm going to give Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of The Birds, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for News of the World, directed by Paul Greengrass, so look forward to that. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.